All right. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen of Hippo Cup 9, and welcome back to the quarterfinals weekend as we continue with our winners bracket matches for this week. We are finally, after some delays, getting underway here shortly with Team Dogbreaking versus Team Grease Monkey for a spot in the semifinals against Funing Amarake, our winners from earlier on today. Should be an exciting one. Both these teams were challenged in their round of 16 winners bracket matches, but both of these teams also scale very well. So as the pools get harder, they'll continue to get better. And this pool definitely got harder, so excited to see what is to come for us in this matchup. I'm this one guy. Joining me this morning is none other than Mr. iFlame, back from a brief vacation last weekend to join us once again. Good morning, iFlame. Welcome back to the booth.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back. You know, missed a week, but we're back and ready for some banger Hippo Cup matches. And as you mentioned, this should be a pretty good one. Both teams challenged in their previous weekend matches. But going back to the groups, Dogbreaking, they have ended up second place out of a very strong group, only losing to Catball in the tiebreaker and finishing with a 2-1 record. Before they went on to beat the one seed from another group, Quit School, who were actually first seed of the group for the 2-1 record as well. So arguably one of the weaker first seed coming to the group stage. Grease Monkey, on the other hand, they absolutely breezed through the group stage, no problem whatsoever. They were 3-0, plus 11-point differential, which was tied for the highest of any team, but then had a little bit more of a struggle going into the bracket stage. But I want to talk about Mishawa for a second, who has been so strong for Dogbreaking and scales incredibly well as well, so I have no doubt Mishawa will continue to be good in this matchup here, but was first overall in the group stage individually, 6th in the round of 16, but just last week put up #1 individual scores on 3 different maps, the Hard Rock 2, the DT4, and the Free Mod 3, so Mishawa, a player that just continues to impress.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the biggest thing that we noticed with Dogbreaking, looking at that team roster, is the presence of Misha Awa and Nathan Ram, above all else in terms of just skill cap players in this tournament. Two of the best in their, some of the best players in their respective countries, two of the best players in this tournament overall as well. And so those two are just a super, super potent combo, looking, throughout all stages of a tournament like this that, starts relatively easy but scales super hard. Now, Nathan Ram didn't play a whole lot last week. His performance score a little bit lower, only played like a third of their maps or something, but full confidence in him to continue onward. But, I mean, at the same time, on the other side, right, on the side of Grease Monkey, you did have Lucrece, Minefield Surfer, playing all 10 of their maps, putting up a 1.5 performance score. Penguinzy, despite, I think, an early couple of struggles on his first map or two, definitely got it together the rest of the way through, had a very good match overall as well. So definitely a couple players on that side who will be strong in this matchup too. But yeah, I think you're just looking at, a Score V1 tournament where solo carries are possible, and you've got a roster with a player at the level of Misha Awa playing as well as he is. That's a really scary proposition for any opponents.
It certainly is, and I think Grease Monkey are going to be relying a lot more on their depth. They do have a fairly deep roster with a lot of good players. They don't necessarily scale as well, but it is still the quarterfinals, so you don't necessarily need to. So it looks like we're finally getting into the bans. I'm going to start with a Nomad 8 ban from Dogbreaking. That's going to be Sync Lateral, our 40-second CS 9.5 map.
I'm so sad. I'm so
Yeah, the
sad.
circles were a little too small for these players.
That map is so cool, though. It's like a really unique concept. Not something you see every day. That like left to right horizontal movement of the vertical patterns at CS 9.5, like really unique. I was hoping we'd get to see that. Plus, with 4v4, like watching that in the tourney client was going to be a nightmare, but fun at the same time. That's disappointing. Feels like we've seen a lot of those like really short gimmick maps getting banned a fair amount. Like last week we had a lot of DT6 bans, for instance, the 7-second long DT. So maybe we're just doing the same thing to remove a little of that high RNG.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they did have a pretty good showing on the Hard Rock 4th last week, getting 3rd overall as a team, but obviously that was CS 6.5, not quite the CS 9.5,
Right.
so potentially not wanting to deal with that extra circle size, which is, I think, a little bit much for 90% of players.
You could say most players not going to be the most comfortable with that. Maybe there's like the Boshi mans of the world, who specialize in super precision, but there's not many of those players out there. Also, we're taking our time here. It would seem might need to start watching some timers here if we're not already watching them super closely, because this is a little slow here on our ban phase. But it is at long last going to be the free mod one. As the first ban from Grease Monkey. So that's Midorigo Queen Bee. Oh. And that is another one that I wanted to see because that map is just absolutely psychotic. That is like the Ethan Tricks map of all time. Just the most crazy aim control alt patterns in that pick. I'm sad. It is one of the longer maps in the pool, so if we're interested in like trying to kind of speedrun this match, I guess it's nice to not have to worry about it, but it's also one of the cooler maps in the pool, sadly.
Let's wait for Dogbreaking's second ban. Interestingly enough, both of these teams have looked incredibly strong on a lot of the DT picks throughout the tournament. Even going back to the group stage, some of Dogbreaking's best scores have been on those variety of DT picks, most often the DT1s and the DT2s, whereas Grease Monkey have really excelled on the DTs 2 to 4 as well, so maybe Dogbreaking want to opt to ban out something like that DT3 that Grease Monkey tend to look so good on, or maybe they want to go in a whole different direction and ban out one of the no mods instead.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that I'd really put in the same kind of tier of map as the Nomad 8, so I don't know what necessarily you'd lead into there. And I guess, one thing that I feel like comes up with Hippo Cup especially, right, is that the pools are so gigantic and the skill sets represented are often very, very extreme. So it's often hard to predict bans because there's so much to the pools. Like, you're banning out a CS 9.5 40-second long like concept map, right? What are you actually banning out about that? Are you banning out the fact that it's 40 seconds long? Are you banning out the fact that it's CS 9.5? Like, there's a few different facets, and it's gonna be the Hard Rock 1, which, okay, that's a really interesting pairing of bans, right? Nomad 8 being what it is, and then just going into the Hard Rock 1 ban, which is legit just high BPM aim. That's really all that is, right? Bang, bang. It's just 255 BPM Hard Rock aim. That's all. So that's a really, really direct skill set type of ban that they're targeting. It's just saying, hey, we don't want this really basic aim pick available.
Yeah, it's not really a skill set they've excelled on all that much outside of some of the more DT-focused aim picks. And I'm kind of expecting Grease Monkey to ban out one of those Hard Rocks as well, because Dogbreaking have looked really good on the Hard Rocks otherwise. Most often some of those more kind of non-aim focused Hard Rocks, the 2s and the 3s. So we'll see if it ends up being the case here. Haven't really seen a lot of the Hard Rocks out of Grease Monkey, and so, I mean, maybe just looking at this pool, you ban out something like Paranoia. That could be a good ban for them.
I feel like Grease Monkey's pretty decent at tapping, though. So I don't know that they necessarily would want to, like, the Hard Rock 3 is basically just like a C-Mob tapping map, right? So I don't know, maybe a Hard Rock 2 or 4 of those would
see those as well,
jump out to me a little more. Those are both kind of tech-ish. I mean, Hard Rock 2 is definitely tech. Hard Rock 4 is kind of a unique sort of map as well. I feel like I found myself noticing that in a few different maps where it's like, I don't know how to describe this. Like Free Mod 4, how do you describe that map, I don't know. how you summarize
That's
a map
great
like that.
question.
It's got just so much going on.
Gale.
It's gonna be Nomad 3, so that is just alt. It's a flake alt map. So it is a couple of, relatively straightforward map bans with the last two, and also worth noting, Grease Monkey kind of double banning alt in a way. I mean, Free Mod 1 is kind of, it's like cursor control alt, and then Nomad 3 is pretty much straightforward traditional alt flake. It's a fast alt map, so they're just saying we don't want the alt maps in the pool to be available. We're afraid of maybe Misha, maybe somebody like Yokespy or something on those. We are gonna get rid of kind of two of the primary alt skill set maps in this pool.
Yeah, and Dogbreaking did top score the Nomad alt map in the group stage, so they certainly have that skill set within their wheelhouse, and so I do think it is a pretty smart ban from Grease Monkey. And now we're just waiting for the first pick, obviously with pretty much the entirety of the pool open. Feels like they could pick just about anything at this point, I think. Wouldn't be surprised to see some of those DTs or some of those more tapping focused picks, and it's going to be the DT1. Good start based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, Grease Monkey has felt pretty solid on the higher mechanics maps in these pools. So DT1 makes a lot of sense. The first pick, it's 270 BPM. It's a little bit of finger control tapping, but mostly it's kind of a straightforward DT1. The aim has a slightly awkward element to it at times, but it's a DT1. It really is. It's maybe a little faster. It's 270 BPM or 10.3, but nothing too crazy that these players can't handle.
Definitely a good pick here. And I expect we're going to be seeing Penguinsy in here for sure. Has been the best DT player for Grease Monkey by a solid margin, I would say, so far. Really impressing last week, getting number 2 individual on DT 2 and 3. Obviously, those are slightly different styles of maps. But needless to see, Penguinsy has been popping off for Grease Monkey on pretty much whatever DT map they decide to play. We'll see if that continues in the quarterfinals, of course. The big question is always scaling. At what point does the scaling catch up to these players? And in quarterfinals, you still expect most of the maps to be relatively manageable, but we're going to start seeing a lot less FCs. We've kind of come a long way from that 6 to 8-way FC battle, and it's going to come down a lot more to those couple of individual players who, we could still certainly see a few FCs on these maps, and if we do see them, then it's very likely to be a win for that team, I would say. But in my opinion, at this stage, we're not likely to see more than, 2, maybe 3 per map at most.
Yeah, very much agreed. I think, it's Hippo Cup. I think everybody knows what to expect with the scaling and knows kind of how the later stages are going to go. But that is also why, having players like Misha Awa on your team, or like Nathan Ram, or like Lucrece, can be super valuable. You've got guys who scale very, very well, and who are also good at consistency, kind of the lower starting stuff. So having some of those players who kind of represent both ends of the skill level and spectrum, both the skill cap and the skill floor, very, very good for a team. Whoa, that was interesting. So we're gonna get underway here. DT1, Misha Awa, Maxim, Ahio, and Amacetic against Lucrece, Paper Candle, Hunter, and Penguinsy. That is a really scary DT1 roster that Grease Monkey has put together. I think you got a really good-looking squad on that side that I think will perform very well in this. Dog breaking, no slouches either. So should be a good one. I'm excited as we get into this.
Yeah, this is a relatively lengthy map compared to a lot of the maps in this pool at just under 3 minutes, so there's plenty of time to build up those combos. Minefield Surfer or Lucrece is going to be the first to find that miss, but Again, lots of time to recover. There goes Thunder as well, starting to get a little bit more concerning for Grease Monkey as these combos really going to start to add up. We see Dog Breaking pulling away by about 1 million, and that's a third combo drop for Grease Monkey as Thunder finds a repeat miss. It's going to be 4 SCs strong for Dog Breaking. We'll see how long they can hold on to these as we approach one of the first PIs in about 10-15 seconds here.
And this is going to be where you'll start to see the effects of Score V1 pretty rapidly, because you've got 4 players on Dog Breaking with FCs of 500 combo or more. Meanwhile, Grease Monkey several hundred combo behind on 3 of their 4 members, and that lead already out to 6 million score, especially with Thunder breaking now a 3rd time. Unfortunately, not having the greatest run. It's going to be work cut out for Grease Monkey here to come back in this pick now. Just about halfway through, as mentioned, one of the longer maps in this pool, relatively speaking, but this Dog Breaking lead is getting scary big, scary fast unless they really start to have trouble, and they're not looking like that's too likely. The accuracy staying good, the combos staying alive. I mean, the cursors just look solid, you know, not a lot of nerves or anything. Finally, the first break is going to be Misha Hawa. Maybe we placed too high of expectations on him, but you've still got 3 FCs, and you're up by 12 million, so it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, not going to be too stressed here for Dog Breaking. They've got a pretty massive lead now, up to 10 million points, and they do have Paper Candle, they do have good recoveries on their players, but unless the misses come through, it's not going to matter. There's one from Aesthetics, so it's going to start to come back to the side of Grease Monkeys, but very likely to bring this one back, they're going to need one more miss from either Heo or Maxim. There is still time for that to come through, but their time is quickly running out as we head into the last KI.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of scary scenes. You've got big combos, all right. Lucrece at 1,000, Penguinzy just 100 behind, Hunter at 670. Paper Candle, of course, still holding down that full combo. It's Maxim and Ahio to match, though, and as we come near the ending, it's a late break from Maxim and Aesthetic. Wait a second. It's 7 million score, but 7 million score happens fast with combos this big. Watch that score gap. Penguinzy to fall, however. Will that be enough for Dog Breaking to hold on just the last seconds of the match to come? Paper Candle, Lucrece, Hunter all holding on, bringing that score gap down. It's 4 million score. This is going to be the final seconds. It's going to be scary scenes here. Ahio needs to hold the FC. Misha Awa on the recovery. Is it enough? It is. Boy, I Flame, that got scary at the end. 2 million score, all that it came down to after it was 12 million for much of the map, thanks to the efforts of Paper Candle, Lucrece, and Co. through the ending of that map for Grease Monkey, but just not able to bring it all the way back. And Dog Breaking, gonna open it up with a break point.
Yeah, really nice for Dog Breaking, and I do think, if not for that last second miss by Penguinzy, I do think that would have gone back over, and Grease Monkey would have been able to hold on to their point, but Dog Breaking, they're just such a strong, such a consistent team. You know, you look at their scores from last week, they very rarely had a team score place worse than 3rd across the tournament, and so even if they're not getting the top score in the tournament, they're always right up there in the mix with the best teams, putting up some incredibly strong scores, and not even their own picks. You know, that's what makes them scary as well. It feels like they put up strong scores on just about anything, which makes picking into them very difficult. Grease Monkey, you know, they can always fire back with a breakpoint of their own. I know with Dog Breaking in the group stage, I remember we saw a whole lot of breakpoints out of them and their opponents, so it could just be a continuation of that trend as we get a no mod of 5 pick from Dog Breaking. You're going to go for Dara Shooting Mix.
Just the map that you...
AR8.
I would say, just the map that we want to see when the match was already delayed by like 20 minutes is the 4.5 minute long no mod. Thanks, guys.
Of course. You didn't think this would be a quick match, did you? I'm a
be real with you here, Chief. I have worked really hard to become more accepting of long maps, but I still hate this pick. It's just really boring. The song itself is not good. I'm sorry. This is an opinion. I understand, but I do not like this song at all.
Very fair. Well, let's hope it makes for a good match at least. As we get some good scores, some close scores, the important one. As we're gonna get our reading players in the lobby. Of course, Yolks Pie, I think Paper Candle, and Lucrece are here to stay. Do we see any of the Swedish players in for this one is the question. They've got obviously Noam and Phelan as well. Who've been on the bench, and there is Phelan. Makes a lot of sense. Very strong reading player.
Read Horimiya in to do some reading? Nope, maybe not.
Nope, they're busy reading Horimiya.
Surely they'll have finished it by
that's
now.
some kind of, I don't know. Is it, maybe it's one of those really long ones that's like 800 books or something.
I don't think it's that long. I don't know. I watched the anime. I have not read the online or the manga series, I guess. I don't know. It's like there was like a webcomic and a manga series, and then it was adapted into an anime as well. I don't know the full length of the original source material. Either way, Read Horimiya does appear to be coming in to perhaps read Otome Gokoro, which is not Horimiya, but, you know, here we are anyway.
It's still an anime, so you can't go wrong, clearly.
Scary roster. Scary roster from Dogbreaking. Can I just say, Origin, Yokespy, Maxim, and Nathan Ram for this map is yikes. I think they're going to be pretty good on this. We'll see what Grease Monkey's capable of. Obviously, I think both these teams are going to do well in most of these maps, but anytime you see Yokespy on a reading map, like, you kind of know what's coming. Like, that dude's just always been one of the best, most consistent, you know, reading map players in the tournament scene for, I don't know, 8-9 years now.
Yeah, a lot of these players, really most of the players in this lobby at this point are absolute tournament veterans as well, so generally not going to be too worried about nerfs or anything of the sort. As we get into this no mod pick, we see, of course, Yokespy, Nathan Ram, Phelan, and Paper Candle taking the hidden. No surprises there, but this is one of those maps where the hidden really does make a big difference and adds a lot of difficulty to the map, so we're going to have to keep an eye on our hidden players.
And as you said, I think, you know, the players, not just on the hidden, but just across this lobby, are typically going to be fairly reliable. As I say that, Nathan Ram is the first to break. But it's a lot of players who are very used to air 8 hidden stuff, so we'll see if they have it up. Oh my, Paper Candle fell off that stream completely, and Phelan goes down next. So that's both the hiddens gone for Grease Monkey in a matter of about 3 seconds, down to the Melver and Read Horimiya no mod FCs. Meanwhile, the 3-way full combo still alive for now for Dogbreaking. Let's see how big they can run this lead out with the current level, with Origin falling. Yokespy Maxim 2v2 versus Melver and Read Horimiya in the lobby.
Yeah, and during this break, I do want to take a look at the accuracies. They are significantly lower on the side of Grease Monkeys, with the exception of Phelan, who's at 98.5. And while the accuracies are pretty irrelevant for the actual score itself, they can be a pretty good indicator as to a player's comfort level on the map. And so we see players like Origin, Maxim, and Yokespy are feeling a little bit more comfortable on some of these patterns, whereas the accuracies are kind of in the gutter for Grease Monkey, as we do find 3 misses, Yokespy, Read, Horimiya, and Paper Candle. But when the dust settles, it is going to be Maxim and Melver holding those full combos, Nathan Ram and Phelan. Oh, but there goes Melver. That's a big miss for Grease Monkey. Dogbreaking are really going to be able to pull ahead now, as it is Maxim, the last one standing. I mean, Phelan doing the best to match, but a couple hundred combo behind is going to be a fair bit on a map with not much density to it.
Does seem like Phelan is pretty comfortable with the map, though. He has the highest accuracy in the lobby by a 2% margin. So I would say that he is up there in this matchup. And there goes Maxim, but Phelan trades it. Unfortunately for Grease Monkey, would have had the opportunity to bring back that score gap if Phelan had been able to hold into the wiggle. Oh my god, how did Read Horimiya get through that? The way he started that stream, I have no idea. But he is matching Origin, and in fact now ahead of Origin, who falls on that back and forth stream. And look at, don't look at anything. There's nothing to look at. Read Horimiya has broken. There goes Read Horimiya. There goes Nathan Ram. There goes the lobby. There's no combos anywhere. It's a 4 million score lead thereabouts, just a little less, but there's just no combo anywhere. It's Struggle City. Population, Dogbreaking, and Grease Monkey. Not a great time for about anyone here on this pick, and nobody able to build a big combo to stretch that lead or bring it back, depending on who you might be rooting for.
Yep, we certainly have scaled here in the quarterfinals, but really any misses that get traded at this point are going to be in favor of Dogbreaking. Grease Monkey can't afford these big team-wide trades. They need to build up some kind of combo because they've got a 5 million score difference to make up, and 300 combo is just not going to cut it. You're going to need close to a 500, 600 combo advantage to really make a dent in that score.
Oh!
They nearly get through that one, but Dog Breaking once again comes out on top with Origin and Yokes by holding their combos, and now they're just going to look to solidify this lead. Reed Horimiya, the last hope for Grease Monkey, but just not enough combo, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the third highest combo in the lobby. Unfortunately, Origin Yolk Spy were both ahead of him for long enough there that the lead kept going out towards Dog Breaking. And just the consistency on this map is so hard because of those really, really tricky patterns. And oh, Yolk Spy, dear me. Oh my, that is a collapse from Dog Breaking.
Yeah, but the map is over at this point.
It's coming to. I mean, look at the combo lead for Grease Monkey, though. It's a shame there isn't like more combo here at the end, because that could have gotten very, very close. But I just don't think there's enough circles here, even with a big combo advantage. That ending is just there's just too much downtime in this ending, and the lead that Dog Breaking built up was too big before now. So that's going to be consolidated break point.
Yeah, I think Grease Monkey really needed another 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds of extra map, and they could have brought it back once again, but they're going to just barely fall short as Dog Breaking, as you said, solidify that break point. And now Grease Monkey, they're going to make this next one count. It is first to 7, so they do have some room to work with, but giving up to 1 break point, generally okay. You can find that break point back later on in the match. But if you're giving up 2 break points, especially when they're your first picks, it's starting to look pretty rough early on. So you want to see them pick carefully here.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like the way that DT1 went, I don't think they need to go away from their strategy. I think if you're Grease Monkey, you can pick another one of those DT kind of, mechanics-focused maps and not feel too bad about it just because you gave up the 1 break point. You've got DT2, which is kind of just raw tapping, and you've got like Penguinzy on your team, you've got Hunter on your team, you've got Paper Candle, I want to say can play some tapping. I might be assuming I'm thinking of that right. Either way, like, you've got players for some of these picks. So DT2, DT3, DT4, honestly, any of those 3 still feel like they're kind of fine for them. Also, worth noting, Fremod 3 is out there as well. Again, if you want to go that mechanics route, because that's just an OWC custom speed pick. So options if they want to stay in that skill set, and I think it's fine for them to do that.
Yeah, I'm especially considering so many of the players in this lobby did play OWC as well, especially on the side of Grease Monkey. Half of them are just the Norwegian OWC team. Although they lost Yolks Pie to Dog Breaking, so they couldn't complete the Norwegian OWC roster, unfortunately. And then, of course, you've got 2 of the Swedish OWC players and 1 Romanian OWC player for good measure. So I'm sure most of them have played that map or practiced it, but we're going to get a DT4, it looks like.
Man, this will be an interesting one. Fallen DT. Another long one. This is the second longest DT in the pool. So I guess, everything. We're just picking all the long maps. I mean, it's still sub 3 minutes. It's not like the end of the world. But big thing about this, right, it's 290 BPM. Our previous DT that we played, DT1, was 270. This one goes up to 290, still AR 10.3. But like the triples and quints and stuff in this map are very, very fast. And of course does have that, Jonathan LFJ kind of comfy aim element to it as well. But the big thing is that it's just quite fast as far as, kind of DT straightforward. It's a fast DT1-esque map, right? I do like that a lot for Grease Monkey based on the DT1. If they can put up a similar score to what they did there, if Dog Breaking has even the slightest hiccup, it'll be Grease Monkeys for the taking.
Yep, and Grease Monkey had the 3rd best DT4 score last week, 2nd best DT4 score in groups, although to be fair, groups DT4 was Eureka Baby, so that one is not remotely similar
TV
to
size.
DT4. I mean, maybe last week's was a bit more comparable, I can only guess. But, who got the best score tournament-wide on last week's DT4? It was, of course, Misha Awa, who happens to be in the lobby in that bottom right corner for Dog Breaking. So, going to be a player to watch on this one potentially. I mean, obviously, I think a player like Lucrece Minefield Surfer could pop off on something like this as well. So strong presence on both sides here.
Yeah, I really do like both of these rosters for these DT Mechanics picks. I think that's why, we saw DT1 so competitive, and I think we're likely to see the same thing happen here. Maxim super, super good at, kind of the tapping stuff as well. Couple early hiccups for Grease Monkey, though. Mentioned hiccups being a concern on the side of dog breaking, but it's going to be the concern for Grease Monkey. It's very early into a very long map, though, not the end of the world. Minefield Surfer over there, Lucrease having some difficulty. The tapping, if you're going to identify any potential weakness for him as a very, very well-rounded player in general, it might be raw tapping, especially once you get to this super high BPM, so we'll see how this goes for him. Little misaim there for Hunter as well, and it's already now down to just 1 FC on Penguinzi, who has been such a stable player on a lot of these tapping and mechanics picks for that team over the last couple weeks. But it is dog breaking to look to take another early big lead. This is what happened on that DT1 iFlame. They took a big early lead, and it let them struggle a little bit in the end of the map without giving up the win. So let's see if that can happen here again, what kind of comeback Grease Monkey can make with these combos.
Yeah, I mean, that was, interestingly enough, that was true of group stage as well. So often, dog breaking had incredibly strong starts to maps, holding 4-way F3s almost halfway through the map, and then they would fumble a little bit towards the end of the map, allow the other team a chance to make a comeback, but oftentimes they built up enough of a lead that it didn't matter. Paper Candle finds another miss. Grease Monkey having a little bit of a tough time finding those recoveries. They do still have 1 FC. It's the first miss for dog breaking coming through for Heyo. Grease Monkey, they're going to be praying for a couple more. There is still plenty of time left in this map for dog breaking to find those misses, but Grease Monkey, it is vital that they hold on to every single one of their combos. Under Lucrease, Penguinzi, none of them can afford to miss at this point.
And I will say they are doing a good job of building those combos back up, at the very least on Lucrease and Hunter. Both have done much better through the second, third, into the last quarter of this pick. Some more tapping through this solo section. Let's see if anybody can get caught out on the burst. So the slight rhythm change, no, okay. They will see the break here. It's a lead of 13 million score to dog breaking. That's going to be tough to bring back, but with some help, Grease Monkey could do it. They have a lot of combo, but they need dog breaking to give away some of these FCs. It's a 3-way FC into the very end, and I think the time may have passed by now, because this is a ridiculous performance that dog breaking is putting on, even with that late break from Anesthetic.
Yeah, this is certainly not the team score I would have expected in quarterfinals. I would have assumed we were past these near 3-way FCs, looking like it's going to just be a 2-way FC. But they're going to prove us wrong. And we do have Penguinzi on the FC as well. Shout out to Penguinzi, who has been popping off on these DT picks, really all tournament long for Grease Monkey, but unfortunately not going to be enough, as dog breaking gets yet another break point, 3 points on the board now. And if they can consolidate a second break point in a row, they're going to be cruising towards a victory.
Yeah, that is... Well, it might not be dog breaking. It may be back breaking for Grease Monkey. Give up their first 2 picks as breakpoints. That's pretty rough to see. And I don't know. I just want to give shout outs to Misha Awa and Penguinzi. They're next to each other in the bottom row with 2 really, really good scores. But this is the struggle, and you kind of alluded to trying to pick into a team like dog breaking. Even when you find a map like you have with your first 2 picks for Grease Monkey, where you're capable of putting up very good scores. I mean, you had an FC on this one from Penguinzi. You had solid scores from Lucrease and Hunter. You had the double FC the FC from Paper Candle on DT1. Good scores from Lucrease and Penguinzi. But you're still losing both of those maps. That is what makes playing against a team like this so difficult. And so now, big question going to be going forward for Grease Monkey. Do they keep trying to return to what appears to be an increasingly dry well, or will they have room to adjust their pick strategy at a spot in the match where they may already be down 4-0? For dog breaking, you've got a lot of options here. It feels like you can pick mechanics, or you can pick, kind of the weird stuff. The reading map went well for you. Not a lot of reading in this pool overall, with the second reading map banned out in Free Mod 1 being removed. But the world kind of feels like their oyster at this point.
Yeah, I think if you're Grease Monkey, it's certainly time to pivot. Maybe based on Dogbreaking's bans, you try and look at some of the more aim-focused map and just, even if you're not the most comfortable on those more aim-focused picks, just at this point you got to go for it and hope you're more comfortable than Dogbreaking on them. So maybe that could be some direction for them, as Dogbreaking nearly missing their timer there. They just barely at the last second get the DT3 pick in, and this makes a lot of sense. They've been winning the DTs so far, and they're going to look to continue that trend with Locus of Hexagram. This is
Nope,
260.
Locus
Nope.
Hexagram was last week.
Oh, you're so right. Oh, that's the name I do not know how to pronounce.
Nani yatte mo umaku ikanai.
Oh, that was pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah. I've spent enough time in the Osu scene to be able to, at a glance, at least kind of pronounce Japanese transliterations a little bit sometimes of Romachi stuff.
It's going to be, I believe, the shortest map we've had so far, 1 minute and 34 seconds. This AR 10.2, so a little bit more manageable, and this sounds, I want to say, like a bit more of an alt-focused DT map.
My take on this is that it's kind of like tech adjacent. It's not a tech map, but it's like tech adjacent. It's got some finger control, some aim control. There's some absolute banger wiggle patterns in this map, and the ending is just this sick alt snap patterning. Like, it's really, really cool. If it comes down to the ending and it's close, you might see some crazy stuff going on, because it's just this absolutely nasty alt snap aim. So should be fun if it comes down to the last, few moments of this map in a close battle. And so this kind of ties together, right, some skill sets that Dogbreaking feels like they are advantaged in. They've been obviously won the 2 DTs that have been picked. They had alt double banned against them, and kind of that gimmicky nomad pick that they first picked went their way as well. So it's a lot of things that feel good for Dogbreaking in this matchup.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we've yet to see Nathan Ram in for Dogbreaking, a player that generally you'd expect to play most of the map. So potentially Nathan Ram has just had low availability for this tournament. Otherwise, I expect we'd be seeing Nathan Ram in a lot more often. I know a lot of these players were just playing a qualifier, so maybe occupied with some other tournament, who can say. But regardless, clearly it hasn't slowed down Dogbreaking at all. They're doing just fine without Nathan Ram and looking to continue to do so as we get into this DT3 pick. And we do see some of that light tech that you mentioned, some of that finger control as well. And we can keep an eye on those accuracies to see who's feeling comfortable. Melwem does find the first miss, but no big accuracy struggles so far early on. So everybody at least reasonably comfortable on the map, as that early miss shouldn't matter too much as long as we don't see any further misses coming up soon.
And here's one of those super cool streams. Nobody falls on that. The little wiggly stream into the Ki here. Like, you can see, kind of the spacing of these little doubles and finger control patterns can be kind of tricky. But it's Ahio is going to be the only one to break. It's Grease Monkey holding on all 4 members, still a triple FC, and the Melwem combo coming back together. Halfway through, they have the advantage. This is the first time in this match now on map number 4. It's the first time in this match that they've had a lead, but there's still a decent amount of map to go, still a third to come, but they are looking quite comfortable on everyone thus far, and they have the little bit of a lead.
Yeah, they can't take their foot off the gas now, though. Dogbreaking still have those 3 full combos. They are ready to pounce if there are any mistakes that come through for Grease Monkeys. Looking good, though. Here is potentially the hardest section of the map. This is where we could start to see some of those combos fall. There's only about 10 to 15 seconds left to split up to 1 million, but it's Evacetic who finds the miss on the side of Dogbreaking. Grease Monkey could very well get this breakpoint back. There goes Melwem Penguinzy as well. It's now 2 FCs to do a Heo with the next best combo. Lucrece drops as well. The score is going to start to go back over. Hunter cannot afford to miss, but Grease Monkey have managed to hold on, and they get their breakpoint back. TNG there, potentially back in this match. They still need to win their next pick. They still need to get one more breakpoint, but they've slowed the momentum, and they've kind of gotten a little bit of the pressure off those first point nerves.
When that really almost did come down to those last couple of snap patterns at the end too. I was thinking that those could potentially play a role, and there were just a couple breaks there in that ending, but it's again like the situation we've seen where a team just builds enough of a lead to hold on to, and like you said, it gets a point on the board for Grease Monkey. It lets them feel a little bit better at their attempts to get back into the match. 3-1 versus 4-0, I think, kind of feel like two very different places to be in the match, because one of those you're down 2 consolidated breakpoints, the other one you're just down the 1, and, you know, getting to kind of that halfway mark point-wise, right, cresting that 4 points en route to 7 feels like a big spot to reach, and it's going to be prevented for at least one more map. But now the question is, if you're Grease Monkey, after dropping your first 2 picks, where do you go next? Because they were both relatively competitive, but you lost them both. So do you indeed opt into the pivot? Do you go somewhere else? Or do you say, no, we're going to keep this train rolling with the mechanics and, you know, opt into maybe something like that DT2 or something like that Free Mod 3? Otherwise, I don't know necessarily where they go after that to try to change things up, because they obviously have not done so yet.
Yeah, they certainly have. I think now would be the time to do so, despite the DT3 win. If they could kind of continue this trend of, you know, following up with the DT mechanics, they're going to run out of picks very quickly, right? In 1, maybe 2 picks. And they're going to need to change things up anyways, so I feel like you maybe got that out of the way now. Give dogbreaking a chance to potentially pick those DT picks themselves, and they are going to do that. It's going to be the Free Mod 4. This is a map that is indescribable. CS1, which is quite large circles, in contrast to our No Mod 8 that's been banned out.
Yeah, this map is like... This map just has everything, right? It's got like spaced flow patterns, it's got tapping bursts, it's got snap aim, it's giant circles, it's got weird little slider stuff going on, it's got finger control elements, and it packs all that into being like just 2 minutes long. So, you know, this is everything including the kitchen sink, basically, of a map. To me, this is just like, you have to watch the map, because I can't do it justice trying to explain what it has in store. It's just wild from start to finish.
Yeah, you can certainly hear that rhythmic element. That's going to be a big test. Curious about the lineups we see for this one. So far, we've seen very similar lineups for most of the maps. You know, Maxim and Mishiawa have pretty much not sat out for dogbreaking. Lucrece and Melm have been in for almost every map for Grease Monkey. Melver coming in makes a lot of sense. Maybe they get, I could see Penguinzy or Paper Candle potentially as that last. As we got GNX in for the first time for dogbreaking, along with, maybe not.
Yep, there is.
Along with Anesthetic.
Oh. Make up your mind, GNX. Come on, man. Make up your mind.
It's over. And okay.
What are we doing? Okay, there we go.
We're playing musical chairs. There's Nathan Ram.
Well, the dynamic duo, Nathan Ram and Misha Awa on a just absolutely crazy map. Very interested to see what happens here. This feels a little bit of a toss-up for Grease Monkey, man. I admit to saying, like, this could really go either way. I think this is a map that Lucrece should be really good on, but it's also like high Misha Awa, high Nathan Ram type of map. So, you know, I don't know. Just hold your breath. We're gonna go from point A to point B real quick on this map. So, just watch and enjoy, I think, is kind of the territory we're finding ourselves in here.
It's gonna be a good one. And I think we're going to see a lot of combo drops on this one as well. I would be surprised to see any FCs on a map like this, but I mean, hey, with these players, anything is possible. And you can see accuracies across the board a lot lower. I do think the hidden adds quite a bit of difficulty on this map. So, and it's going to be a hidden hard rock for Nathan Ram, taking that over Mod 3 hard rocks on the side of Grease Monkey. But we've got misses all over the place. We've got 3 FCs left on dogbreaking. We've got 1 FC, it looks like, on Grease Monkey, but Lucrece and Melwem missed very early on, so they're only going to be about 20-30 combo behind. It's not going to be the end of the world, and for now, things are going to stay relatively even. GNX finds a really big miss, dropping one of those FCs from dogbreaking, and Grease Monkey should be able to bring this one back if they can hold on for a moment longer.
They're just holding on to a lot of combo here. I'm really impressed by the performances from both sides. Oh, right as I say that, it's Lucrece, Melver, Melwem, GNX, Maxim, all to fall. Hunter the only one to keep going for Grease Monkey, but guess who for dog breaking? It's Nathan Ram, it's Misha Awa. This is why those two are on this team, and this is why those two are so scary when they're in for a map like this together. The two highest skill cap members of that team displaying it here on this pick. HDHR on Nathan Ram holding the FC down, Hidden on Misha Awa holding an incredibly high AC FC down for himself. Yeah, that's all one stream, by the way. Then this is just ridiculous stuff from dog breaking from that pair of Nathan Ram and Misha Awa, man. What a score those two are putting up. To say nothing of anybody else, those two are just doing crazy things. We're looking at a 2v4 performance here, and this is why this map scared me.
Yeah, it's hard, even in hindsight, to fault Grease Monkey for this pick. I don't think you ever, as good as they are, this map is still insanely difficult. You don't necessarily go in expecting double FC, especially not with Hidden and Hidden Hard Rock respectively, and especially not with that accuracy. My god, that was an incredible showing from Nathan Ram and Misha Awa. The double FC for dog breaking, and they're going to get their break point right back. They're going to be up 4-1, and Grease Monkey, they've got 1 point on the board, but doesn't seem like they've figured out that pick direction quite yet.
Yeah, I respect the pivot. I respect picking something that's that crazy, but you know, just unfortunately didn't work out for them. And I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm sitting here pointing at my screen here, but what are you gonna do against that Nathan Ram Misha Awa performance? Like the double FC, both perfect combo by the way, so I didn't even miss any slider ends. Just that's gonna be tough. You're like double FC is on the other side.
You can do against that, truly. Yeah. So yeah, not a bad pick from Grease Monkey. Just unfortunately didn't work out. And now dog breaking are going to get the next pick. You know, we've seen Grease Monkey get one break point. Maybe if dog breaking do go back to some of those DT mechanics picks, then Grease Monkey could look to take another. But we could see dog breaking switch things up as well. I think we've yet to really see any of those hard rock picks. And there it is. I knew it was coming. Space Angel. It's going to be another long one, 3 minutes and 38 seconds.
And what's interesting about this one being as long as it is how much downtime there is in this map. A lot of just long, slow sliders. So it's long, but in kind of like a fake way.
Yep. And Tunchi, you know who had the top score on last week's Hard Rock 2?
Misha Awa?
You would be correct.
Yeah. I mean, that was not a difficult guess. Very, very different map last week than this week, right? Going from, you know, kind of that like snappy alt into tech. But
yeah,
still, this, listening to this, it's just noise. Maybe I'll turn this down a little. I might turn this down a little because this is, this is a physically painful song to listen to, unfortunately. But
I mean, all music is just noise when you really think about it.
I mean, that is true. That is true.
In conclusion, we should listen to this song on 100% volume.
I'm going to say no. We're not going to do that. Sorry.
Very fair. Executive decision.
Yeah, executive override powers are in place. This was also in USC a couple of years ago, if memory serves. This was, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago. It's been probably more than, probably 3 years ago now. So we've seen this one before in the tourney scene. None of these players, of course, since no Americans across these two rosters, but have seen it in a tournament in the past. But yeah, Hard Rock Tech with some tumor sliders. They're tumor sliders. The best way I can put it. Should be fun. I'm excited just to see how it goes. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect because this is something I don't feel like we've really seen much in this tournament at all.
Yep. Apparently there's an Igor concert to go to.
In
30 minutes, okay.
I wonder where that is. Maybe it is like Oslo or something.
Yeah, I would assume so, given all these players discussing this concert are Norwegian.
I don't know where in Norway any of them live. So
I don't either.
yeah.
Doing very well in the Olympics, by the way.
Oh my God, dude!
Norway is like dominating the
Johannes
Olympics.
Hasfeldt Klæbo, my goat. What a
Yeah, man.
freaking beast! Just wins gold in every single cross country skiing event there is. And then
It's crazy.
and then
Norway's
and then you have Oftebro to win the stuff that Klæbo doesn't win. So it's like, GG.
yeah. If there is skiing, Norway is there, getting gold and oftentimes getting silver and bronze as well.
I would say they podium swept the 50K today, right? I think they podium swept.
I believe so. Yeah, they've podium swept a couple events now. They've got like double the second best country's gold medals, something like that.
17, I think.
They're up to
golds?
18
or 18 now. USA
Yeah.
had, I don't know, 10 or 12.
Yeah, it seems like they've got 11 right now.
11.
So it's a pretty big gap.
Yeah. It's okay. USA is going to win gold in both men's and women's hockey, and we all know that's what really matters. All right, in we go to the actual map after we've gotten through the intro, and it's an instant break from 3 members of Grease Monkey. Not what you want to see with Melver, Paper Candle, and Melwin all falling instantly.
Yeah, not off to the greatest of starts, but it is early. It's a relatively lengthy map, so there's going to be time to come back. Maxim does fall now, so it's going to be... Okay, there goes Melver now, so these combos starting to drop. Paper Candle falling now. These misses are starting to matter a whole lot more, so they're going to be at 300 combo behind, and that is enough to make a difference on score v1. There goes Melwin, traded by Nathan Ram. That is a positive trade for Grease Monkey, but the problem is they've also traded the combo on Paper Candle, so it's kind of the Grease versus the world right now.
It
Boy,
is.
Nathan Ram's miss was Boncho, so I didn't even get that trade, which is devastating.
Oh.
That's a full team miss from Grease Monkey. This one's looking rough.
Yeah, I was just watching the combo to make sure it didn't come back, and that was indeed a 4-player wipe for Grease Monkey. Full team reset. GNX and Nathan Ram still holding means that Okay, there goes Nathan Ram, but I don't... we're only halfway through, and this already feels like not super comebackable, because you'd have to somehow make up 4.7 million score, and you don't have anybody on meaningful combo at all. Meanwhile, dogbreaking still has an FC, and has a pretty reasonable second combo on Maxim as well. This is just a type of map that dogbreaking is pretty good at, that it's very easy to struggle. Finally, nope, that was a bancho from Nathan Ram there. That was funny. I saw the miss still, like, the flash was still going as his combo had already gone back to normal. Wow.
And I mean, the thing is, once you get to 700, 800 combo, the combo scaling starts to get pretty massive on the score v1. So at this point, Gen X is going to absolutely start running away with this when you can see dogbreaking over double the score of Grease Monkey. And Gen X is very quickly approaching a 1v4 type of score, which is always potential for on score v1, getting hundreds on pretty much all of these sliders, but holds on to the combo. That's really all that matters, and is currently looking at an 89% FC.
Yeah, GNX is really score v1ing this one. That is crazy. 89 AC FC just does not care. No regard for human life. Shoutouts to Nathan Ram and Melwem, by the way. 97 AC on both of them, and Lucreece not too far behind that either. So there are some good accuracy performances in this one, but yeah, this was just... I feel like from the instant the map truly started, right, once you get through the intro into those first couple patterns in the first drop, it was just dogbreaking out to the races the entire rest of the way through. They never looked back, never gave anything away on this, and they are going to win the map quite handily as a result. And no FC from GNX. Falls on the repeat sliders at the ending, but it is to no matter for them. 5-1 score lead. Dogbreaking just looking good, man. They've got somebody with a good score on everything, and this is kind of what happens.
Yep, this is why they're consistently towards the top of those team scores. Very rarely do we see them with a low overall team score. Like you said, no matter the map, they seem to have at least one, oftentimes more than one players who can put up incredibly strong scores. And even their depth players, you know, GNX, we've seen Heo come in for a couple of these maps and put up really good scores, can pop off when their map comes up. And they continue to run away with this match. We do get a quick Fremont 3 pick out of Grease Monkey. They are down, but they're not out just yet. They've still got couple maps to go at the very least. And it looks like Fremont 3 is going to be their next attempt at getting back into this match.
So this is an interesting one because, you know, they went they went away from the raw mechanics with their previous pick, right, going into the Free Mod 4, but now they're going back into the raw mechanics. So this was OWC, I believe, 2023. It was a no mod 3, but it was when they were doing that weird experiment of like, well, we're not slot pooling, but we're still using slot pool maps just in different places, because this was basically just a no mod 5. It's just a OWC custom tapping map. Also an original song, I believe, which is kind of cool. But this is going back to just raw mechanics like they did on their first couple maps. Both of them were very close on the DT1 and on the DT4. Neither of them went their way. But returning to that well once more to see if they can maybe scrape some water from what seems like a very dry rock bed.
Yeah, Mishawa did also get the top score on last week's Free Mod 3, even though they aren't that relatable. Still just interesting stats. But look, if the comeback is going to happen for Grace Monkey, it has to start now. I mean, realistically, it had to start like 2 maps ago, but better late than never. You know, the best time to start was like 3 maps ago. The second best time to start is right now, as the saying goes. And so, if they can take this one, maybe there's hope. They need a couple of breakpoints, but there's potential. Obviously, if you don't win this one, you've given up yet another breakpoint. Dogbreaking is on match point with their own first pick, and things are entirely doomed at that point, I would say.
You never want to say never, but yeah, if this goes to 6-1 the way Dogbreaking is playing, I would not. It would be difficult to have much hope for Grease Monkey to make it, even look competitive. So, it's more or less must-wins the rest of the way through. Not literally until at least one more point goes the way of Dogbreaking, but it feels a lot like must-wins. So into the Free Mod 3 we'll go and see if maybe they can pull out at least one of these tapping picks. It's this tapping roster that they've been running: Hunter, Penguinzy, Minefield, Surfer, AK Lucrease, and Paper Candle. They've looked very good. Like, they've looked good on these tapping maps. The problem is Dogbreaking has just looked better. You've got Misha, Awa, Ahio, Maxim, and Amacetic, who have just been putting in work on these maps. And so we'll see what happens here. This intro, very difficult, levels off in difficulty for a while, then the difficulty rejoins about 2/3 of the way through. So we'll see who can hold a combo through the first quarter to third of the map, and then who can get the combo back again in the last third. And so far it looks like Ahio and Paper Candle are going to be the answers to that question, as everybody else from Grease Monkey falling. It's once more iFlame going to be a lead for Dogbreaking in the intro.
Yeah, Paper Candle, the last one standing for Grease Monkey. And this is not a long map either. It's only 2 minutes in length, and so there is some density, but Grease Monkey really can't afford many more misses at this point. There goes Hunter once again. But Dogbreaking on their side have recovered really nicely. They've got one player still holding the FC, but everybody else is going to be 100 max, 200 combo behind, and so they're going to be in a very good spot, and Paper Candle just can't do it alone. I think Grease Monkey at this point, they need... Oh, there goes the FC from Grease Monkey. It is traded by Maxim, but at this point, every trade favors Dogbreaking, and Maxim with the lowest combo for Dogbreaking anyways, so Grease Monkey are in a whole load of trouble now, as this one is wandering away from them.
Yeah, it took those few hesitant steps in the direction of Dogbreaking before kind of breaking into a sprint, which is exactly what we're going to be doing now at the ending of this map. The last quarter starts off and keeps going to the end. It's Penguinzy to fall, it's Hunter to fall, it's the hopes of Grease Monkey to fall with them, as Paper Candle goes down as well. Dogbreaking, Ahio still on that FC, Misha Awa and Amacetic still just the early breaks. Finally another from Misha Awa, but it is going to be a gigantic win here for Dogbreaking. They're about doubling their opponent's scores, and despite some ending breaks, this challenging ending section will cause suffering across the entire lobby. Everybody breaking at the very end there. But it was Dogbreaking all the time on that pick. Just never looked back. And that's 6-1. That's another break point. And now it is match points the rest of the way through in this one. Grease Monkey, again, like, it's not a bad team score, but Dogbreaking just has all of the answers and then some. And a quick, possibly last pick here. It's Nomad 7 to try to close the match out.
Yeah. And so, well, it is a Grease Monkey pick, although it shouldn't be a... Oh no, it is a Dogbreaking pick. Origin is just in the wrong colors at the moment. So we're going to get No Mod 7, which is, of course, an incredibly short map. So this one could be over very soon. Now on the bright side, I can watch the gold medal curling match. But less bright sides for Grace Monkey. This is kind of their last chance. They're now going to need to win 6 maps in a row, including tiebreaker, which tends to be a pretty tall ask, especially against a team like Dogbreaking. And I think that last map just highlights again, right? You have these two players, Hio and Mcetic, who aren't in super often so far in this match, but when it's their time, when their map comes up, they come to the lobby and they absolutely pop off. That's a very strong showing, and they secure the point. Dogbreaking certainly shaping up to be one of the favorites in this tournament, I would say, based on the scores we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's seeding by rank, so seeding doesn't mean everything, but they aren't the #1 overall seed in the tournament for no reason. Like, you look at that roster and you say, not only are they the highest average rank of the top 6 players on a roster, they're also some of the strongest top 6 players on a roster.
Yep.
You know, you've got Mishawa, you've got Nathan Rem, you've got Maxim. Like, not only are they at the very top end of the rank range, but they're also really, really good tournament players. And so, very definitely a team that is favored to, you know, go all the way. Their opposition will be interesting to see going forward, and, you know, obviously we don't want to put the cart before the horse. This match not over yet, but they are looking like finally, you know, truly establishing themselves as the dominant force that I think we kind of expected them to. They did not win their group, remember. They lost to Catball in their group and finished second in the group as a result. But now they're reminding us, hey guys, let's all calm down. We got through group stage. That's really all that matters, and we will take on any takers on the opposite side. Anybody who wants to challenge us, well, this is what's going to happen. So 1 map away now from the semifinals and a date with Funiyama Rake next week if they can close this out on this No Mod 7 pick.
Yeah, and despite getting second in their group, they had the top score on 4 group stage match, with the second best score on 3 other group stage match. So suffice to say, that was a pretty stacked group that they got second in, at least on paper. Seemed like the most difficult of any of the groups, and they're continuing to prove that here, as we've got GNX in once again, and Origin, I believe, the first appearance in this match, followed up by Maxim and Nathan Ram. We've got Phelan, Melver, Paper Candle, and Lucrece trying to hold on 1 map longer for Grace Monkey. The first miss is going to come out for Origin, and this is a pretty short map, so that could make a difference, but question is, where do those next misses come through? Everybody nailing that pattern.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool one. Really interesting patterns and some overlaps and stack stuff for the hidden players as well, so a little added element of difficulty there. Does get and stay very difficult, especially in the last third to quarter, so build up as much combo as you can, build up what kind of lead you can, and hope to hold on. As there go 3 members of Grease Monkey in quick succession. It's Phelan, Melver, Paper Candle, all falling. And now the last third of the map to come. The spacing gets wider, and the map just gets to the peak difficulty it's going to reach. And you have Dogbreaking with a double FC on GNX and Maxim to bring the score lead their way. Lucrece doing everything he can, has to hold on, needs some help, but this is looking dire. Oh, wait just a second. Can Lucrece do this by himself? Hang on!
Dude, I think there's time to UNG. Lucrece has so much combo. Approaching that 700 combo mark, that's where the combo skilling really starts to kick in, but there's just no Everybody else on Grace Monkey is falling, and there goes Lucrece. Isn't able to hold on for long enough. Origin, the only one left in the lobby with any combo, and with that, Dogbreaking will be able to close this match out 7-1.
What a valiant effort from Lucrece, man. Look at that score compared to everyone else in the lobby. Top scoring by nearly 2 million, top scoring his team by 4 million. If only he had a little more time with the combo. If he FCs, I do think they win. Unfortunately, just not meant to be. And again, the strength top to bottom of Dogbreaking just earns them another point, and with it, that match. And it was 4-7-1. We saw a lot of very good scores. I'm not going to lie and say that it was closer than the score indicates, but there were very good performances from both sides across the match. It was a very high-level match. Just Dogbreaking was better from the outset, and they showed it with the dominant scoreline overall of that 7-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grease Monkey, of course, not out of this tournament. They put up, as you mentioned, a lot of strong team scores, and they're going to be able to show that in the losers bracket. They were going to be playing the winner of Nautilus Bald Spot versus Hippo Cup GIF.
And that, I think, will be a very winnable match for them, quite honestly, in the losers.
Yeah.
If they keep playing at this level, I think they should be advancing onward, at least through, that losers round 2 matchup, and, we'll see what happens onward from there for them. So obviously, good luck to Grease Monkey in losers. Dog breaking, as we mentioned, in this winner's side, into the semifinals. Already now, one semifinal is set. It is Dog Breaking versus Funiyamarake, our first winner's bracket semifinal, set in stone for next weekend, and I think that'll be a pretty good one. Funiyamarake also dominant today with a 7-2 win over Pipotam, so two teams that have looked very, very good in this tournament so far will be facing off in that one. That'll be next week. I'll be excited for it. And this is a busy Saturday, so we do have some other stuff going on. We currently have over on the B stream, Georges67, making the hand motion, leading 4-2 over Artur IX Fire. That one going on there. And then in about 15 minutes, 12 minutes now, we're going to get underway with our next set of matches. It's going to be Quit School versus Nation on this stream in 12 minutes. And Beachside Bunny versus Sun over on the B stream as soon as the previous match there ends. So lots more to come. It's a busy, busy day, but hopefully a pretty good one. We've seen some very good scores, and hopefully we continue to see more. iFlame, you're going over to the B stream in a little bit. I'm staying here in a little bit. I wish you the best of luck and good fun over there.
Thank you very much, UNG. Been a pleasure.
We will see you guys back here in about 10 minutes for our next match here on Hippo Cup 9 quarterfinals weekend. We'll be back.